Hey guys, it's your favorite Dinobot here, and welcome back to one of the few planned What If series I planned on doing. Pokemon in a Dragon Ball crossover, right? What if Rayquaza was a Z fighter? Now, first things first, before we really begin on where I want this to take place, obviously by the pictures and thumbnails, you guys obviously see it's going to take place in the Cell Saga. I want to establish a little bit of lore. What is Rayquaza in this story? Well, yeah, he is a dragon. However, there's a difference here. You see, the dragons in the Dragon Ball verse had two different lineages, the Shinrons and the Dracokin. You see, the Dracokin were dragons that were, I wouldn't say less powerful, but they did not have magical abilities. They had natural ki-based abilities. And so, they formed a homeworld and called themselves the Vestroyans. However, the Vestroyans themselves here were not warrior-like, but that don't mean they can't scrap. And so they would actually train their key abilities to actually use them for good. However, considering they kept themselves away and out of conflict here, they would play more defensively than offensively. And in doing so, they would seem weak, which is actually just what they wanted. While they do not seek conflict, they would rather conflict come to them. And so, one of the ruling families of this planet, Drago and Wyvern, would be so powerful that King Cold, in his first attempt to invade the planet, got stumped out so bad that he compared them to Majin Buu. And so, with living in peace for so long, they had a son. This son being Rayquaza. However, Rayquaza's birth was a bit rough. He seemed malnourished. He was sick. So they sought someone to help Rayquaza, that being Kami. And in doing so, Kami was able to not only restore Rayquaza's health, but made him stronger than what he was before. And so this put the dragons in their debt and says that they will be at his aid for anything when the time comes. And so this younger and more powerful version of Kami would go back to Earth, keeping that thought in his mind. Fast forward to the events of when Frieza invades and Trunks actually kills him here, he gives the information about the androids to, well, everyone. However, this is also heard by Piccolo, and thus also heard by Kami. And so, listening through Piccolo here, Kami understands that the Z Fighters' incompetence has got them in trouble more often than not. And this time, he doesn't want to risk it. So he tells Popo to gather the Dragon Balls. And so, when it is nighttime, Kami summons Shinron and tells him, bring him the strongest warrior of Vestroya. It is time to repay their debt. To which Shinron says, as you wish, my lord. And so, without being said, or without even a, ounce of a second here, Rayquaza appears in front of Kami, and he addresses him as Kami, or Namekian, to which Rayquaza actually hugs the old man, and Kami says, my, how much you've grown. And you're the strongest, it seems. Stronger than your father. Indeed I am. Well, depending on how you want to put at him. Stronger than at least his third form. To which he says, so your father still kept training. To which he says, yeah, unfortunately. But hey, still strong enough, right? To which he says, yes, you might be strong enough to, but this is interrupted when Goku actually teleports here. And in little less than a few seconds after, Vegeta actually flies up here, getting done with a little bit of a pound town from Boma, you know what I'm saying. And so Goku actually greets him and actually says he sensed his power level. It's amazing. It's astonishing. To which, when Rayquaza sees that they're Saiyans and he recognizes Vegeta, he simply looks at them in a little bit of a disdainful fashion. However, Kami is able to break it down. He's able to, be the icebreaker, if you will. And pretty much explains Goku and, somewhat of Vegeta's, motivation here. To which Goku says that, yeah, he's not bad. He even fought against his own people. And Vegeta's not that bad of a guy anyway. To which this is where Rayquaza pretty much mentions a lot of deeds Vegeta has done over years. The plundering, the eating of other species, and obviously killing of his own kind. And this is where Vegeta grits his teeth and says, and he'd do it again. And Rayquaza says that, of course he would. He's no better than even Frieza. Vegeta, not wanting to take this lying down, powers up and tells him to say that again. To which Goku says, no, you don't want. I wouldn't fight him if I were you. To which Vegeta says, you know nothing of my pride. I'm going to fight him regardless. To which Rayquaza simply looks at Kami and asks him, you mind just standing aside for a little bit, please? And this is where Kami says, very well, young prince. Take it easy on him. And so Rayquaza doesn't power up, keeping himself at a base level. And so Vegeta, taking this as a mocking here, simply tries to blitz him. However, what proceeds to happen when Vegeta gets close is one of the worst beatdowns he's ever experienced. He doesn't land a single blow, and when he does, it's only when Rayquaza allows him, and it doesn't even hurt him. Alright, it does absolutely nothing. Rayquaza doesn't use a ki blast, doesn't even use any form of energy-based attacks. He simply beats down Vegeta over and over and over again every time he gets close. And every time he throws a ki blast, Rayquaza simply grabs it and crushes it. And so Vegeta, out of sheer rage, jumps into the air and says that he doesn't care what's going to happen to this place here, and charges up a Gallic gun. Goku and Kami and Popo both look in shock as if Vegeta's really going to blow up this place here. However, this is where Rayquaza says, okay, I guess I can do it now, and positions his hands in a form here, charging up an energy blast. And so when Vegeta fires his Gallic gun, Rayquaza simply says in a calm and uncaring tone, Dragon Pulse. And so the explosive, colorful energy not only engulfs the Gallic gun, but consumes Vegeta, and just like its name says, Dragon Pulse here, causes an explosion massively on impact. Vegeta is wrecked, beaten, and on death's door. However, before he falls off the lookout, Rayquaza simply grabs him by his leg and tosses him right at Kami's feet, telling him, heal him up. Hopefully he can come back stronger than what this patheticness is. And so when he turns to Goku, he looks at him saying that you still want that spar. And so Goku says, yeah, but he wants to maybe find a place a bit more secure. To which this is where they simply state that, or Rayquaza simply states that, just go into the air. And well, Goku says, well, okay. And so when Goku and Rayquaza take flight, Goku immediately goes into Super Saiyan. And Rayquaza is rather impressed here. This energy is quite impressive for a Saiyan at the very least. And he states that he's definitely stronger than even full power Frieza at this point. To which he says, yeah, but he's also got a few tricks up his sleeves. And so Rayquaza powers up slightly. Again, keeping himself at a base level, but showing his more green ki. And with that being said here, Goku and him have a friendly sparring match here. He doesn't try to overpower or beat him like Vegeta here. And so when Goku actually says that, look, he understands that we're pretty cool now and all, but he wants to see what it's like when Rayquaza tries. To which Rayquaza simply looks at him and says, are you sure about that? And he says, yeah, I want to see if I can get stronger. I want to see if you are an impossible wall to catch up to. To which Rayquaza simply shrugs and moves at such an astonishing speed that, yeah, Goku's not touching him. He tries to use instant transmission to get around it, but Rayquaza knocks his hand away and simply begins to pummel him over and over again. This is then when Goku actually gets smacked right into the ground of the lookout here that he decides to unleash a Kamehameha. However, Rayquaza simply dives, like right towards it here. And as Goku launches the Kamehameha, Rayquaza uses a Dragon Claw to not only barrel through the Kamehameha, but he spins, creating a energy barrier around him, and then just simply points the claws toward Goku's throat. And well, Goku simply powers down and admits defeat. But they're both laughing about it here. As Rayquaza says, well, if you give it maybe a year or so, you can definitely rival me at base. But for right now, he's happy that he's got a new strong friend. Unlike the prince over there. To which Vegeta, now recovering here, simply scoffs and tells Rayquaza that he'll get his rematch one day. And so Rayquaza says, looking forward to it, prince. And so Vegeta flies off. To which Rayquaza says, so will he be staying here at the lookout? Or to which Goku says, actually, how about you come over to my place? Chi-Chi's actually cooking. And then he looks at Goku like, what's a Chi-Chi? Oh, that's my wife. What's that? To which he actually looks at him and like, you don't know what a wife is? To which he says, on my planet, they're called mates. So is that like the same thing? To which Kami actually begins to explain how Earth's culture pretty much is. And Rayquaza says, huh. Well, I guess we're just a little bit primitive, aren't we? Whatever. To which Goku does introduce Rayquaza to Chi-Chi. And well, he actually does enjoy her cooking. And funny enough, he does eat like a Saiyan. To which, this is where Chi-Chi actually states that, or pretty much asks, what do they eat on his homeworld? To which he says, Vestroya pretty much has a wildlife system just like Earth. They eat, or pretty much they hunt, they cook it when they get home, and then they eat it. We don't really have supermarkets here, so we just kind of let the animals, run about in one area, and then we just pick the one we want, take it home, kill it, butcher it ourselves, and eat it, even as children. To which Gohan is actually a bit starstruck by this here, and even Chi-Chi is, and says that, well, maybe that's a conversation for another day. Understanding what Chi-Chi is saying here, he says, oh, my bad. To which, this is where Gohan says that, well, we did used to do that back in the day when we had, cavemen or other things here. And I guess we still kind of do it today, so I guess it's alright. To which, this is where we actually have to fast forward to something. The training for the androids. Rayquaza actually takes a liking to Piccolo. Piccolo keeps it real, keeps it serious, keeps it determined. And so he wants to bring out Gohan's potential here. And during this time here, he begins to meet the other Z fighters and the other people, even meeting Bulma. And so Rayquaza actually does use the gravity machine when Vegeta is not around here. And he says that this is actually light work, turning the machine up to even its maximum capacity, and he doesn't even feel it. And this angers Vegeta more, giving him more incentive to leave. And so, with that being said here, everything happens the same. Vegeta gets Super Saiyan. Goku still does not take the heart medicine like a dummy. And so, yeah, we now have to fast forward to when Jiro and Android 19 actually show up here. Now, he's not expecting Rayquaza. So, obviously, Cell's not going to have Rayquaza's DNA. Thank God. So, with that being said here, we kind of have some canon moments here. Except, instead of Vegeta rushing in and saving Goku here, it's actually Rayquaza. Having seen Android 19's energy capacity here, Rayquaza not only makes quick work here, but actually decimates Android 19 in a matter of seconds here. And utilizes a Draco Meteor to actually disperse and actually tries to hit Jiro with it. However, Jiro is able to get away just in time and make his way. However, with Rayquaza here, this actually happens another change in the timeline. Jiro immediately goes to his laboratory and activates Android 17 and 18 immediately. And so when the Z fighters arrive, they actually meet Vegeta along the way here. To which this is where Vegeta notes that he's actually quite surprised that they handle it so quickly. To which this is where Rayquaza actually mocks Vegeta, saying, yeah, they didn't need dead weight holding them down here. To which Vegeta and Rayquaza begin to bicker, to where Vegeta actually goes Super Saiyan, saying that you can't say the same thing when you were struggling against Kakarot. To which Rayquaza even states that you still don't get it, do you? That power you have there, means nothing to me. I'm far beyond what you're capable of. However, before Vegeta and, well, Rayquaza actually get into a fight here, Trunks blasts the door open, and, we get a repeat. 17 murders the old man. Ah, just so horrible. Beating up the elderly. Who would do such a wonderful thing? I mean, horrible thing. And so, most of history repeats itself here, except for one little thing. I would actually have Krillin be the one to take Goku back instead of Yamcha. And the argument could be pretty made simple here. Krillin has a higher power level than Yamcha, meaning that he would be faster here. And so, Krillin takes Goku back to Chi-Chi's house here. Plus, I think it would make more sense for Goku's best friend to do it than Yamcha. So anyway, let's talk about the fight with the androids. Androids 17 and 18 both make their way to the highway like the original here. And so this is where Vegeta and Rayquaza both land here. However, Rayquaza takes a different approach about this here, actually wanting to talk to them, actually wondering what they actually want here. Keep in mind, Rayquaza knows that the androids are supposed to destroy them, but he doesn't know exactly why they're doing it here. Again, showing that his species are a bit more defensive than offensive here. And so, this is where 18 and him begin to talk. And she actually begins to explain that, look, they're really not in the mood to try and kill anyone here. They're just doing it because the big guy over here just wants to kill Goku. I mean, we're not trying to harm anybody else here. To which Rayquaza says, if you could possibly wait, but Vegeta simply interjects by turning Super Saiyan and, well, punching 17. To which Rayquaza simply states that, oh dear lord, he's gonna get his behind whooped, isn't he? To which 18 says, yep. And this is where she actually begins to, well, admire Rayquaza. Keep in mind, in Rayquaza's human form, he has long, emerald-like hair. He's a very beautiful, if not very handsome man. Or at least very handsome in his human form here. And so, 18 does take a liking to him here. And so, this is where she, and Rayquaza actually begin to talk to each other here. And, well, Rayquaza simply doesn't bother fighting or attacking here, and simply tells the Z fighters to simply not interfere with Vegeta. And, well, how would Vegeta versus 17 go? Well, considering the sheer fact that Toriyama did state that, or did put in one of the guidebooks that 17 was a bit stronger than 18, and plus the force field here, this means when Vegeta does his big bang attack here, which would actually be the unveiling of the move at this time as well here, 17 puts up his barrier and blocks the move entirely, meaning there is no damage here. And as Vegeta rushes in, he tries to wail on him as much as he can. I also think Vegeta would also be stronger than in canon, but then again, this will also mean the androids are also stronger than in canon, so it doesn't bode too well here. And so, this is where we actually have 17 being the one to break Vegeta's arm in this timeline, instead of Android 18. And, well, Trunks interferes just like in the original, and this is where Rayquaza says, I understand what you have to do. Go ahead and do it. To which 18 simply smiles at him, and, well, she's the one to deliver the haymaker to Trunks. Now, again, you guys might be asking, why is Rayquaza not interfering? Well, number one, he really doesn't like Vegeta at all here. Considering Vegeta's pride and is very unapologetic about his crimes in the past here, he doesn't like him. Plus, again, there's the whole thing with his species being, well, defensive. Basically, you have to attack them first in order to, well, get them into a fight. So Rayquaza's really not the aggressor, or pretty much not as aggressive as his original counterparts in this timeline due to his upbringing. So, with that being said here, they both pretty much beat down the Z Fighters like in the original. And well, this is when 18 actually pops up beside Rayquaza and actually gives him a kiss on the cheek, telling her that, or telling him that she'll see him later. And so both of them fly off. To which Rayquaza then states that, yeah, I guess he better go ahead and help these idiots here. And this is where Piccolo simply states, why didn't you help them? To which he simply asks, why did they interfere when he told them not to? Vegeta got himself in this situation. He doesn't even know why they risked their lives for him. And this is where Trunks begins to explain his timeline. And this is where Rayquaza simply raises an eyebrow and says that, okay, why didn't you just go and find his planet? Or why didn't Kami contact him? To which, this is where Trunks says he doesn't know if he exists in his timeline. To which he says, oh, okay, well, I guess that's more of a you problem than me. Again, showing his more, I guess you could say that, kind of nonchalant, uncaring side about the situation here. But again, some of the things do happen like in the original. Goku finds the hyperbolic time chamber, and so this is where he actually understands Rayquaza's nature, but tries to get him to go against it. But some of the things do happen the same in this timeline here. Piccolo, albeit a bit stronger in this timeline, does manage to fight against Imperfect Cell. And so this is where something different happens. With Piccolo being stronger in this timeline and his senses being a lot more heightened, this is where Piccolo actually does take off his weighted armor and proceeds to beat Cell in a similar to, if not slightly different way to Jiro here. And this is where Cell, having no other choice but to get away, uses the solar flare to obviously get away from Piccolo. And so he doesn't really get his whole arm absorbed and doesn't need to rip it off here. And well, I guess you could say Cell is slightly weaker, but I guess that doesn't really matter. However, when this is explained here, Rayquaza feels a tinge of worry for 18 here. Yes, you know, he doesn't have strong feelings for her, but they are still there. And so when Goku recovers and they all head to the hyperbolic time chamber, the first people to go in are actually Piccolo and Rayquaza. You see, I do think it is smarter for Piccolo to have someone here. And so this is where Goku actually whispers to Piccolo to get him to be a bit more offensive here. And so, spending a year in the hyperbolic time chamber, Piccolo and Rayquaza bond and actually get to know each other a lot better, becoming friends. And with that being said here, Rayquaza is now a bit more aggressive to attack people now, or to attack his opponents here. No longer does he wait for a more defensive approach here, and actually does embrace his more offensive side and offensive, well, I guess you could say an offensive attitude. This does bring in some more aggression, but again, it's something that he can at the very least control here. And so when he and Piccolo exit out, considering Piccolo was as strong, if not stronger than a Super Saiyan, or just as strong as, well, basic Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta at that point here, I do think that he should be around the levels of at least a grade 1 ascended Super Saiyan. And Rayquaza would be stronger than a grade 2 Super Saiyan, but obviously without buffs, or with, you know, out him buffing himself up. To which Vegeta and Trunks head in while everyone else goes to Kami's lookout. And in this timeline, with Piccolo being in the hyperbolic time chamber here, this means that 18 and 17 actually show up with Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien at the lookout here. However, this is where, Tien raises his power level in a more worrying-like fashion. Sensing this is where Piccolo and Rayquaza actually go down and greet 17 and 18. And this is where I would pretty much have some of the canon events play out here. Except, obviously, Rayquaza is sitting next to 18 in this one here. Actually not, obviously not jumping in the fight here, as he feels like it would be unfair. To which Piccolo and 17 actually goes far more evenly. Piccolo's stamina is higher, his attack potency is higher, he's stronger than what he was in the original timeline. And well, when 17 does the more Hellzone Grenade, Piccolo is a lot more strategic in how he fights here. And this is where, after the Hellzone Grenade, he already has a special beam cannon charge and pierces the shield of 17. However, 17 is able to dodge it just in time, but Piccolo immediately follows up with a spin kick here. However, this is where the same thing happens just like in the original. Cell shows up. And that's where I'm going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I'll see you guys later.